join. It's 11:40. The screen is visible to all of you. We are going to discuss about cholera today. I hope the screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you for answering. Okay, so cholera, you all have heard about cholera. Hmm? How do we get infected? Which is the organism for cholera, causing cholera? Which organism causes cholera? Shirisha. Okay, how do we get infected? Is this also airborne? We have done last time tuberculosis, which comes under airborne diseases. Cholera also comes under airborne.
No, food and waterborne.
Yes, it is food and water. So we get infected by contaminated food and water. Okay. And organism, which organism? Cholera. Cholera is caused by Vibrio cholerae. You have heard about Vibrio cholerae. No, all of you have heard. You all are in second year now. You all are aware of Vibrio cholerae. Okay. So Vibrio cholerae is the organism, infectious bacteria, which causes cholera. Okay. And shape of Vibrio. Do you all remember? Shape of Vibrio. Gunashri is there today. Gunashri is not there. Chandrika, what is the shape of Vibrio? You have done this in first year.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning. What is the shape of Vibrio cholerae?
Comma shape, ma'am.
Very good. Who answered? Chandrika answered.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So you remember that, huh? Okay, you can mute your phone. So that is what you should remember what we are doing in first year. Coming to second year, don't forget what you have done in first year. Vibrio cholerae you have studied, and it is one of the important ones. And you know, you have studied when you study the shapes, particularly you know that Vibrio are comma shaped. Okay, so here for cholera, it is Vibrio which is infectious. It is causes cholera, and it is comma shaped, present in the intestines. Okay, and this comes under food and water diseases. Okay, food and waterborne diseases. What do you understand when you say it is food and waterborne diseases? What do we understand when we say it is food and waterborne diseases? When we say airborne, yeah, yes. So when we say airborne last time, it was those which are infectious through air or which through spread through air. Okay. Now these are food and waterborne diseases. So this is spreads through contaminated food or contaminated water. Okay. Remember all of you. So as I said, comma shaped and they are gram negative. Okay. Aerobic or facultative anaerobic bacillus. You all understand these terms, aerobic and facultative anaerobic bacillus. Bacillus that varies in size from 1 to 3 μm in length by zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.8 μm in diameter. Okay, so this is about the physiology or structure about Vibrio cholerae. Comma shape, gram negative, size 1 to 3 μm in length and 1.5 to zero point 0.8 in diameter. Okay, an antigenic structure. So the bacteria consists of H antigen and O antigen. Have you all heard about this H and O antigen? Any idea? You have heard about this H and O antigen? Vishwas? Vishwas is there in the class. Shalini is there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you heard H antigen and O antigen?
No,
No.
ma'am.
Okay, it's okay. I don't say it's fine, but I should know no, how much you all know. So H antigen is known as flagellar antigen and O antigen known as somatic antigen. Okay. So this H antigen is present on the flagella of the bacteria. So it is associated with the flagella or present on the flagella of the bacteria. So also called as flagellar antigen. And this O antigen is present on the outer surface of the bacteria. Okay. So known as somatic antigen. Oh, remember now, next class, don't tell me we forgot because these are the terms which will come across, you will come across throughout the unit and throughout the paper. H antigen, O antigen. When you study diseases, you will be studying different bacteria. And when you study different bacteria and structure of bacteria, you come across these terms. So H is for flagella, it is present on the flagella of the bacteria. And O is for the surface, it is present on the surface of the bacteria. Okay. Now, how does it infect you? How does it is about the virulence and pathogenicity? So once it is ingestion of cholera. So ingestion means what? I told you last time. Ingestion means ingestion means what?
By eat, ma'am.
By intake. Okay, so when it goes inside through your food or water, when you take it inside, intake. So ingestion is through intake of food or water. It enters your body. So once it enters your body, it is resistant to the gastric acid. Okay, it is resistant to the gastric acid present in your intestine. Then generally, because of acidic nature of your intestines, most of the bacteria are killed. Yes or no? You know, no? You have studied the normal flora of your body, and you have studied that there are organisms present in your body in the intestine, and they are the normal flora. They help in digestion. Okay, you have studied all these. So these bacteria also secrete few enzymes and gastric acids, and this decreases the pH of the intestines. You have heard, no? pH of the intestines. You have studied last time. It's less or more. What is the pH of the intestine? It's less or more?
Less, ma'am.
Less. Very good. So it is acidic. Less means what? Acidic or basic?
Acidic.
Less means acidic. Okay, good. So it is acidic. So when it is acidic, what will happen? Organisms will grow or not? What will happen if it is acidic? Organisms will grow or not? John, Upender, what happened? Silent today.
Will not grow, ma'am.
It will not grow. Mostly organisms will not survive in acidic environment. Only acidophils will survive. You have heard about acidophils, no? Bacteria, I have taken this also. Acidophils, thermophils. Thermophils means
Temperature, ma'am.
high temperature. Okay, they will survive at high temperatures. And acidophils means they will survive in
Acids, ma'am.
acidic conditions. Okay, good. So this is what happens now. Generally, all the bacteria which are present in the intestine, like the infectious ones, they are killed because of the acidic nature of the intestine, because of the acidic pH of the intestine. But this Vibrio, it is resistant to the gastric acid. Okay, this Vibrio cholera is resistant to the gastric acid, and then they colonize small intestine. Okay, they start colonizing in the small intestine. Hmm? Virulence of non-toxigenic Vibrio cholerae, point one strain, not well understood. So, okay, this is about the strain, but it is then it starts multiplying. Okay, because it is resistant to the gastric juices. Okay, then what do? They colonize and they secrete enterotoxin. Now I have taught you enterotoxin and endotoxin. Yes, yes or no, Satish? I have taught you enterotoxin and exotoxin so many times. Almost two classes I was repeating enterotoxin and endotoxin. We have studied bacterial toxins. Shirisha, we have
Yes,
studied bacterial toxins we have done, no?
yes, ma'am.
So I have taught you enterotoxin and endotoxin. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what do you understand by, or I am, you may be getting confused. I have taught you exotoxins and endotoxins. That is why you all are getting confused. Okay. So in this case also that is secreted by the Vibrio cholerae, and these toxins binds to intestinal cells. Okay. Then chloride channels activated, release large quantities of electrolytes and bicarbonates. Okay. Fluid hypersecretion leading to diarrhea and dehydration. You understand? This pathway you should remember what happens once the, I have taught you in case of mycobacterium also. What happens when it is ingested? It goes inside through the, you inhale it the air. Now in this case it is ingestion because it is food and waterborne. It is ingestion. Okay. So once it goes inside, what happens? What happens? And when it reaches your intestine, what happens? Hmm? What happens once it goes inside? Tell. I've just now told you. Once it reaches your intestine, what happens? Who will tell? I just now told you all. Once the Vibrio cholerae is ingested, what happens? It is there in front of you, John.
Um, it will become resistant to gastric acid, and then
It is.
it
Okay,
will
that is its
colonize the
characteristic that, yeah, it colonizes into the small intestine. Then it secretes enterotoxin. Okay. Then what happens?
sec- the, the secretion part will bind into intestinal cells.
Hmm. The toxin binds to the intestinal cells. Okay, chloride channels are activated, release of large quantities of electrolytes and bicarbonates, fluid hypersecretion. Okay, more amount of fluid is produced. So what happens? It comes out in the form of diarrhea or and leads to dehydration. No, diarrhea is what? You all know what is diarrhea, no? What happens in diarrhea?
Loose.
Loose stools. Okay, loose stools which will have more of water content, water. Okay, watery stools. So why is it happening? Because here in the intestines there is large quantities of electrolytes and bicarbonates which are released, and this gets secreted. Okay, fluid hypersecretion. And now when there is large amount of fluid secretion, what will happen? It has to come out. Okay, it has to come out. So it comes out with the stool in the form of watery stool. Okay, it comes out in the form of watery stools leading to diarrhea, and diarrhea after leads to dehydration. What is dehydration? What is dehydration?
Loss of
Loss of water, ma'am.
Loss of water
loss of
in the body. Yes. Okay, loss of water and electrolytes in your body leads to dehydration. So this is what happens when you are infected with Vibrio cholerae. It enters your intestines. It is resistant to the gastric acid, so it doesn't get killed, and then it multiplies, produces enterotoxin. Enterotoxin binds to the intestinal cells. Okay, then large quantities of electrolytes and bicarbonates are released, leading to hypersecretion, which leads to diarrhea and dehydration. This is what happens. Then who are affected? Okay, mostly it is children, 10 age of 10 or more susceptible than adults, and also elderly also highly susceptible. So it's anybody is susceptible, either children or elderly, anybody can be affected with Vibrio cholerae because it is finally food and water. Okay, it is finally food and water, and whoever consumes the contaminated food or contaminated water will be infected. Yes or no? Yes or no? What happened? What? It will infect anybody, no? Equally male, female, nothing like males only, nothing like females only, nothing like only children or only adults. It can affect anybody who consumes the contaminated water or contaminated food. Okay? also people with low gastric levels. Okay, if the gastric levels in stomach are less, they easily are susceptible to this Vibrio cholerae. And they say blood types O are more susceptible compared to blood type AB. AB is the least susceptible, they say. Reasons not much known. Okay. Now, risk factors, who are more at risk. Okay. So coming most importantly, as I told you, poor conditions, sanitary conditions for other diseases also. Whichever disease, it is communicable fast if there is poor hygiene. Yes, if there is poor hygiene, that what happens, leads to, poor hygiene leads to what? Tell, what will
Need
happen with poor, huh? Poor hygiene will lead to
Diseases.
protect
diseases.
from disease.
Poor hygiene will lead to diseases because infections spread under poor hygienic conditions. Okay, because infections spread under poor hygienic conditions, because if there is less of cleanliness, if the surroundings are not clean, generally most obviously the bacteria will multiply, no, if the surrounding is not clean, if the region is not clean, if the food is not cleanly cooked. Okay, if you cook the food in unclean vessels, generally poverty leads to too many things. Okay, so food, if it is not cooked in clean vessels, then the water which you use for cooking is not clean. Okay, these slum areas, you can imagine what water they have. Hmm? The sources of water where they collect water, even drinking water is in a very bad state there. Okay, so what happens because of this, the number of infections increase, and there is spread of diseases is faster. So as told for tuberculosis also, it is Asia, Africa and Latin America where poor sanitary conditions are there. Mostly Asia is considered under poor continents, Africa and Asia, compared to America. So even these diseases are more at risk in Asia, Africa, and they say rarely developed countries. Okay, then raw undercooked food, contaminated seafood, even in developed countries. Okay, so if even this can happen even in developed countries, that if the seafood is contaminated. Okay, generally they consume a lot of seafood and those things. If there is the chances of contamination if storage is not good. Okay, if storage is not good at the point of collection, anywhere contamination can be there. So this can happen in developed countries also through contaminated seafood, and mostly it is the shellfish which gets contaminated. Okay, and it is raw or undercooked food. Mostly these people, they eat raw food. No, you all know, like Americans and in the other part of the world, they even the vegetables are eaten uncooked. Yes, are you all aware of it? Are you all aware of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Why don't you all talk? Others, what happened? Only Chandrika Shirisha answering, remaining all quiet. Others can also reply, no? So you would have seen in the form of salads, they eat uncooked vegetables. Okay, even meat and other seafoods also they sometimes eat uncooked. So if why, what happens in cooking? What happens when we cook? What happens? What happens when we cook the food? Huh? John, why are you silent today?
Yes, ma'am.
What happens when the food is not properly cooked?
Some of the microorganisms will not get killed.
Yes, some of the organisms will not get killed. So what happens? You're infected. Okay, even milk, no? Milk, best example is your milk. What do we do? Milk when
Yes,
it comes
ma'am.
to
Milk.
your house, you just drink it, huh? No, no.
Pasteurization.
Yeah, that is called as pasteurization. Who answered just now?
John, ma'am.
No, one someone else also answered. Hmm? Some silent person answered just now. Okay. These are basic things which you should know, and I expect you all to answer. Okay. Only me talking for 2 hours is of no point. No, if you know something, you can discuss and tell. And these are basic things. So milk also. Basic example is milk. We boil it. Okay. Only when it is boiled, and then we drink it. Why? Why? So that tell.
The microorganisms are killed.
Yes, the organisms present are killed because this also leads to milk also can be contaminated, no? At the point of collection, at the point of packaging, or at the point of distribution, anywhere milk can get contaminated with any organism. So, what do? We boil it once. So we boil it and then we use it. Similarly, for food also, it has to be cooked properly. So undercooked food, what they eat in other countries, it is not generally suggested because after cooking, you expect that it is the organisms present are killed. Then hypochlorhydria. Okay, hypochlorhydria is it is hypo and hyper. You'll know, no? The difference between hypo and hyper. Hypo means hypo means what?
Less, ma'am.
Less. Very good. Who answered?
Siri, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So hypo is less, hyper is more. So the decrease in the hypochloride acid in the intestines. Okay. Decrease in hypochloride acid in the intestine will is called as hypochlorhydria. People with low levels of stomach acid, such as children, older adults, and some medications. Okay, so people with low levels of stomach acid. This happens in people low levels of stomach acid, such as children, can be children or older adults. Okay, and some people who are under medication. Okay, medication also affects the normal conditions of our body. No, yes or no? Yes or no? What? Nobody will tell. Hmm? What happens if you take too much of medication? Hmm? What happens? Sai, you're there in the
Yes,
class.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
What happens
ma'am.
if you take too much of medication? What happens? Vishwas, what happens when you take too much of medication? Vishwas not there. Satish. Okay,
Yes,
Vishwas.
ma'am.
Vishwas is there. Satish is there. What happens when we take too much of medication? See, patients are who have lot of medication. Patients who have lot of medication, they don't like eating food. Okay, they develop a dislike towards food. Yes, because too much of medication will change your body internally. Will bring about changes internally. It will also kill the normal flora present in your body. It will kill the normal flora present in your body. It will change the acidic state of your body. Yes, yes or no? At least say yes and say no. If you agree, you say yes. If you don't agree, you say no.
Yes,
Hmm?
ma'am.
Yes, no. If you take too much of medication, it affects the body internally. It will change the acidic state of your body. It will change the acidic state of your body. So what happens in this case also, in case of cholera also, too much of medication will decrease the hypochlorite acid in the stomach. So it will affect, it will increase the risk factors for other infections. Okay. Now coming to transmission. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Okay, thank you. So transmission is through human only reservoirs. Okay, human only reservoirs means it can be transmitted from humans only. Contaminated food or water, as I told you all, inadequate sewage treatment, lack of water treatment, improperly cooked shellfish, transmission by casual contact, unlikely. Okay, so there are some diseases which come under contagious diseases. What do you understand by contagious diseases? Hmm? What do you understand by contagious? Tell.
which spreads, madam,
It spreads through touch.
through
Okay,
touch,
if yeah, or it spreads through like if you have to anybody at home, the other person at home is likely to get it. Okay,
infected aerosols.
yeah. So it is kind like tuberculosis. Last time we said it is contagious. Okay, it can spread faster, but through contact. But here, this Vibrio cholerae through contact, it is less likely to get transmitted. It is mostly if you eat or drink food which is contaminated. So it is through that, not through touch or through contact. Okay. So this doesn't come under contagious diseases. Cold cough are contagious or not? Hmm? Cold cough contagious or not
Contagious.
contagious? Yes. Everybody is thinking about cold cough, huh? It is so common nowadays. If one person at home sneezes or coughs, it is sure that the other person will sneeze within 5 hours or 10 hours, or immediately also sometimes if your immune system is not good. So it is contagious cold cough. Okay. But this doesn't happen in case of Vibrio cholerae. It will happen only through when you eat or drink contaminated food or water. Okay. Now, period of communicability. So, how much time it takes during
Ma'am,
acute
screen
stage.
is not visible.
It's not visible.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
You
Just
should have
now.
told me, no. It got disconnected in between, maybe so.
Yes, ma'am. Before that, we are able to see.
Okay. Okay. I think it's recording, no? Yes. Okay. Okay. So, this slide you all have missed. So, it was human reservoirs, contaminated food or water, inadequate sewage treatment, lack of water treatment, improperly cooked food, and transmission through contact, as I told you all. It is not, okay? Through contact, it's not likely to be transmitted. Then period of communicability. Okay, during acute stage, a few days after recovery, by the end of a week, 70% of patients become non-infectious. Okay, and by the end of third week, 98% are non-infectious. So it is by the end of a week generally they recover, or by the end of third week they are completely all right. Then incubation, how much is the incubation time within your body? Ranges from few hours to 5 days. That is the time which it takes to multiply and show the infection. Average is 1 to 3 days. Short incubation periods if high gastric pH. Then consumption of high dosage of cholera. So if you have taken more amount of cholera, Brio cholerae, so the incubation period also reduces. You understand? If the infection is more, if the intake of cholera bacteria was more, the incubation time also is less, because very soon it will start showing the symptoms. No, okay. Then infectious dose water. The infectious dose is 10 to the power 3 to 10 to the power 6 organisms. Okay, so you understand? You understood this?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
whichever water you are consuming, okay, whichever contaminated water you're consuming or contaminated food you're consuming, they're telling how much organisms will be there, okay. So if it is infectious, it will have around 10 to 3 to 10 to the power 6 organisms. Then if it is food, it can have 10 to the power 2 to 10 to the power 4 organisms, okay. Then symptoms, what are the symptoms? How do you get to know that you are affected with cholera? Is mild or no symptoms at all. Okay, generally diarrhea till the time you get, I mean, you have diarrhea, you generally don't show any symptoms. Only after that you have the, after you pass your stools, you have your cramps, vomiting. It all starts later. So generally initial stages it doesn't show any symptoms. 75% asymptomatic, 20% mild disease, and 2 to 5% it becomes severe in case of 2 to 5%. And one of the symptoms later is vomiting and cramps in your abdomen. I don't know how many of you have experienced this. Mostly everybody experiences because we tend to eat outside food. You all eat pani puris, okay. So when you eat the outside food, we don't know how much contaminated the food is or contaminated the water is. So generally you suffer with diarrhea because of the contaminated food or contaminated water, okay. Then profuse painless diarrhea and vomiting of clear fluid. So vomiting can be clear fluid, okay. Rice water diarrhea during 4 hours observation period. Without treatment, death in 18 hours. Okay, if you don't treat the patient immediately, what will happen? It will lead to death. Why? Why will it lead to death? Tell. Upender is not there. Upender. Okay, Vishwas will tell. Why will it lead to death?
Yes, ma'am.
Why will it lead to death?
Sorry.
Why will it lead to death if not treated in 18 hours or so? What happens when you're infected with Vibrio cholera? Diarrhea, no?
Yeah, diarrhea. High frequency
No.
of bowel movement, madam.
Diarrhea leading
Diarrhea leads
to
to
dehydration.
dehydration, high frequency of bowel movement.
Yes. And loss of water from your body. Okay, too much of
Yeah,
loss
yeah.
of water from your body. And if you
Mucus
don't
with blood and
replace,
stools.
yeah, and if you don't replace the water loss with electrolytes or water, which what will happen? Your body will get dehydrated, completely dehydrated, leading to death. So generally, you have the electrolyte mixture, no? क्या बोलते हैं? ORS and all. Yes, you have heard about it, no?
Yes, ma'am.
You have heard about the ORS packets and the electrolyte packets. We generally mix it with water and drink when you're dehydrated. What does it do? What does it do?
It contains sodium and calcium electrolytes to build up energy.
It replaces the salt, loss of salt which has happened due to diarrhea. It replaces the salt content of your body, increasing the water content and salt. Okay. So that is why it will not, your body will get hydrated. So this is the type of stools which are passed. It is the rice water stools. You should remember this is the most common term which is used for cholera. Okay, whenever you say cholera, you should remember the rice water diarrhea stools, or whenever they refer to rice water stools, you should refer to cholera. So this is the term which is used for cholera because the diarrhea in case of cholera is in the form of rice water stools. Okay. Okay. So this is a species cholera gravis. More severe symptoms in this case: rapid loss of body fluids, produce 10 to 20 liters, okay, of stools, water loss, then 107 vibrios per ml, rapidly lose more than 10% of body weight. Okay, so the patient becomes very weak. You can see because of loss of water and body weight, how the patient becomes. Then dehydration and shock, okay, leads to dehydration and shock. Patient's skin turning a bluish gray hue from extreme loss of fluids. Okay, if there is a lot of fluid loss, the skin becomes pale. No, yes or no? Patients generally the skin becomes pale or bluish gray. They say if there is lot of fluid loss, extreme loss of fluids, then death within 12 hours, and death can occur within 2 to 3 hours also. If they are not treated after dehydration, you have to immediately give electrolyte or ORS so that it replaces the body fluids and salts. Okay, that was one species, cholera gravis. This is one, cholera sicca. Okay, cholera sicca is an old term describing a rare severe form of cholera that occurs in epidemic cholera. Okay, severe form of cholera that occurs in epidemic cholera. This form of cholera manifests as ileus and abdominal distension from massive outpouring of fluid and electrolytes into dilated intestinal loops. Okay, are you getting it? What happens here in this species, cholera sicca? What happens? It is a severe form of cholera. Okay, it is a severe form of cholera. It can be into an epidemic also. Now, what we are facing is an epidemic or pandemic. Hmm? Now, what we are facing, corona, it is epidemic or pandemic?
Pandemic,
Pand.
ma'am.
Pandemic. So much time you are taking to answer. Why pandemic?
It is spreading more, ma'am.
Throughout, throughout, everywhere it is spread. So pandemic. Epidemic means it is restricted to one region. Okay, epidemic means if it's restricted to one region, it is called as epidemic. So this is a severe cholera which leads to epidemic. Outpouring of fluid and electrolytes. Okay, so there is massive secretion of fluid and electrolytes into dilated intestinal loops. Mortality is high, with death resulting from toxemia before the onset of diarrhea and vomiting. Mortality in this condition is high. What is mortality? Mortality means what?
Death
Movement,
rate.
ma'am.
My dear, that is motility. This is mortality, means death. Okay, that is motility, motility. This is mortality, that is mortality means death. Okay, the death rate is very high. Hmm? What do you mean by
Ma'am.
morbidity? Morbidity means mortality means death. Morbidity means when you suffer from a disease, it is called as morbidity. Okay, when you're suffering from a disease, it's called that. So they say the morbidity and mortality rate is more. Okay, when they say that the morbidity and mortality rate is more. So when you say morbidity and mortality means the infection rate and the death rate is high. Okay, when they say morbidity and mortality is high, it means the infection rate and the death rate is high. Okay, okay. So the mortality in this condition is high because of the unusual presentation. Failure to recognize the condition as a form of cholera is common. We'll take a 5 minutes break. We have a few more slides to do. Okay. I hope you all are listening. Hmm? We need to take half an hour more. We'll take 5 minutes break. Hmm? Okay. Shall I start? Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. John, Upender, not there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Shirisha, Vishwas, Satish.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If I look at this computer screen constantly, it strains my eyes a lot. I need to stop for 5 minutes.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, I'll start. I'm not used to looking at where this screens, no, because we teach in the class. So this continuously, if you look at the screen, it becomes too strenuous. You all can see the screen, no? Screen is visible, Chandrika?
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Okay. So I think we finished this slide. We have to do about cholera in children. Okay. So in children, if it's breastfed infants are protected. Okay. Why breastfed infants are protected? Because they do not consume anything directly. No, they do not take any contaminated water or contaminated food directly. So they are protected from this. Then symptoms are severe and fever is frequent. Okay. Shock, drowsiness, and coma are common. So, because of the weakness and loss of water fluids, what happens? It leads to shock and drowsiness and coma also. Hypoglycemia is recognized complication which may lead to convulsions. Hypoglycemia means hypo means what?
Less, ma'am.
Less, no. So hypoglycemia means less sugar levels. Okay. Hypoglycemia means less sugar levels. So when the water content of your body is reduced, it leads to hypoglycemia. Is recognized by complications which may lead to convulsions. Convulsions यानी मालूम है ना? What are convulsions? Fits, no? Seizures.
Like one.
You have heard about this, no? Seizures and fits. Hmm? So all this can happen in children. Then rotavirus infection may give similar picture and need to be excluded. Okay, so you have to differentiate. Rotavirus can also lead to diarrhea and all. So you need to differentiate if it's rotavirus infection or uh, cholera infection. Okay. So these are the consequences of severe dehydration. It can lead to intravascular volume depletion, okay, severe metabolic acidosis, hypokalemia, that is cardiac arrest, hypoglycemia, then seizures and coma in the young people, cardiac and renal failure, then sunken eyes, decreased skin color, and almost no urine production because loss of water is through stools. Lot of water loss is through stools itself, so there is no urine production because watery stools are being passed. Okay, so these are all the symptoms which can be there. So you understand, if it is not treated properly, it leads to so many complications. So immediately you have to hydrate the person with electrolyte or something. Okay. Then diagnosis. Diagnosis can be clinical diagnosis or differential diagnosis. Okay. Clinically, cholera should be considered in all cases with severe watery diarrhea and vomiting. So in those cases, wherever there is watery stools and vomiting, you should check it once clinically also. Clinical symptoms. These are called as clinical symptoms. Then traveling to affected areas and eating shellfish. So if you have traveled to areas which are affected, generally you also tend to eat and drink that kind of food over there, no? So traveling to affected areas and eating shellfish, no distinguishing clinical manifestation for cholera. Okay, so there's nothing different like for cholera, it is all the same. Hmm. Then for differential diagnosis, enterotoxigenic E. coli, hmm, bacterial food poisoning is there. Then viral gastroenteritis, this can be mixed up with rotavirus. Okay, because symptoms are same. Then diagnosis is with the help of stool culture. Okay, confirm presence of cholera toxin. Cholera rapid test is also there. So you can do the diagnosis with here, because the patient is passing watery stools. You have to take the stools for diagnosis. Okay, you have to take the stools for diagnosis. Then confirm presence of cholera toxin and cholera rapid test by dipstick method. Okay, so there's a stick in which you will have the antigen or antibody present, and then you just dip it in the sample, and you will, if it is antigen or antibody is there, they will bind and show you the positive test. Okay, getting it, all of you? I hope it's clear. hmm? Shirisha, did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So other lab findings can be done through. So here it was stool sample and through rapid tests and all. Then it can also be done with dehydration leads to high blood urea and serum creatinine. So what happens when there is dehydration? The creatinine present in blood or serum, it increases. Okay, the levels of creatinine increase. High blood urea and serum creatinine. So the creatinine levels increase in this case. Hematocrit and WBC will also be high due to hemo concentration. Hemo concentration, you understand? Hemo concentration means high increase in red blood cells. Okay, hemo concentration is increase in red blood cells, and hematocrit is an instrument which tells you the ratio of between the red blood cells and the blood volume. Okay, like you have different instruments in our lab, one of them is hematocrit. So this instrument will tell you the number of red blood cells present, as compared to the volume of the blood. Okay, so here it is increase in the RBCs. Dehydration and bicarbonate loss in stool leads to metabolic acidosis and wide anion gap. Okay, because of dehydration and bicarbonate loss, the in stool leads to metabolic acidosis with wide anion gap. Total body potassium is depleted, but serum level may be normal due to effect of acidosis. Okay, so the potassium level in your body depleted means what?
Getting less.
Yes, depleted means becomes less or decreases. So the potassium level in your body decreases, but serum level may be normal due to effect of acidosis. So you would have heard nowadays many patients when they are hospitally admitted to hospital, they say the potassium level has gone down. They say that the potassium level has gone down. So it happens frequently nowadays. Hmm? Okay. So next is the treatment. Okay, how do you treat? How do you treat the patient? It is by rehydration, oral, intravenous, or antimicrobial therapy. Okay, so you can use rehydration. I've told you all these sachets and packets can be mixed in water to drink, and you can also use antibiotics, antimicrobial therapy to kill the Vibrio cholerae present in your body. Hmm? These are the guidelines is given by WHO. Hmm? Okay, what does, because for every disease WHO gives guidelines. Even for corona, WHO guidelines is there, no? Yes or no? What? WHO full form? Satish? Satish.
Madam,
WHO full form?
World Health Organization.
Yes, good. Okay. So the World Health Organization, it gives you guidelines for managing diseases or epidemics or pandemics. So in case of corona also they have given guidelines of what do's and don'ts. Okay. For tuberculosis also you have do's and don'ts in case of this disease. Similarly for cholera also they have. So what do they say? It is in the treatment. It is first assess for dehydration. Okay. Then rehydrate the patient and monitor frequently. Then reassess hydration status. So you have to see if the hydration has increased after you giving them these electrolytes, or it is still down. Then maintain hydration. Okay, replace ongoing fluid losses until diarrhea stops. Okay, so because of diarrhea there is continuous loss of fluids. Hmm? Because of diarrhea there is continuous loss of fluids. So what happens, you have to continuously give fluids, maintain hydration till the diarrhea stops. Hmm? Administer an oral antibiotic to the patient with severe dehydration. Feed the patient. Okay, you have to continuously feed the patient because so that there is no weakness. Hmm? And few more steps as evaluate the degree of dehydration upon arrival. So you need to check on arrival how much dehydration was there, and after treatment. After treatment means after you have given fluids, if that has increased or not. Only then you will get to know, no, if it has increased or not. Hmm? Then rehydrate the patient in two phases. These include rehydration for 2 to 4 hours and maintenance until diarrhea abates. Diarrhea abates means what? Diarrhea abates means what? Upender. Upendra, he said. Upendra is there. Dinakaran. Dinakaran is there.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you mean by abates? Diarrhea abates. Don't know. Means diarrhea stops. Okay, until diarrhea stops, you have to keep on rehydrating the patient. Means rehydrate means keep giving the liquids, electrolyte liquids till the diarrhea stops. Okay, register output and intake volumes on design chart. Okay, so you need to record that how much of fluid loss was there and how much you are given. During the maintenance phase, use oral rehydration solution. ORS full form. What is it? ORS full form? Chandrika? ORS full form?
Oral rehydration solution.
Yes. Okay, I've just told here oral rehydration solution, that is ORS. Okay, at a rate of 800 to 1000 per ml, match ongoing losses with ORS administration. So, depending upon the amount of fluid loss, you have to keep on giving this ORS. Then, clinical features. So, what are the clinical symptoms of the patients? So if it is partial dehydration, if it is severe dehydration, if it is no, okay, less than 5%, they say. So these are the symptoms. See, clinical features may they are looking for general appearance, eyes, thirst, skin pinch, and estimated fluid deficit. Okay. Now here they have compared between patients who are not affected actually, then partial dehydration, then severe dehydration. Okay. So what happens when the patient is not affected or none? The patient is well alert, eyes are normal, okay, drinks normally and not thirsty. In case of dehydration, the patient keeps on drinking lot of water fast, that too they'll gulp fast. But in case of this, it drinks normally and not thirstily. Skin pinch goes back quickly, so when you pinch the skin, they can sense it. Hmm? So an estimated fluid deficit is not much. Okay. So over here, if it is partially dehydration is there, some dehydration. So the general appearance will be restless and irritable. So the person will be restless and irritable. The eyes will be sunken inside. Okay, the eyes are sunken inside, and the thirst is thirsty, drinks eagerly. So water, when you give to such kind of patients, they drink eagerly. They're thirsty. Then they goes back. So if you pinch also, they will realize, but slowly. And estimated fluid loss is 50 to 100 ml per kg. But in case of severe dehydration, okay, if dehydration is severe, what happens? They abnormally sleepy and lethargic. So the body will be lethargic. Hmm? Eyes are sunken. I showed you the picture of sunken eyes, no? Sunken eyes means what? Sunken means what? Oh, eyes have gone inside, they say, no, it becomes like it goes inside into the socket, and you can see dark circles around the eyes. That is called as sunken eyes when it goes inside. Then they drink poorly and unable to drink. So what happens? Because of severe weakness, they are not able to drink. In this case, patient normally drinks. In this case, patient drinks eagerly, but when it is severe dehydration, the patient is unable to drink because of weakness. They are not able. That's why you get saline. No, when the patient goes to hospital, do they give water? Initially, they will not give you in a glass or cup. They will directly put saline. Yes or no? What? You'll have never seen or gone to hospital, huh? What happens when the patient is admitted? Do they give water or cup of glass or tea or water? Do they do that? Say yes or say no. Nobody wants to answer. John, what do they do?
Yes, ma'am.
They will, in first, they will just put saline, no? Because that patient is unable to drink. The patient is in such a bad state that he is not able to hold the glass and drink. So they first just put saline. Then after 1 or 2 days, when the patient recovers, then you can give a glass or a cup in his hand. But initially they put saline, no? Why saline? Why saline?
Because it will contain the
Salt,
hydration.
salts and water, which will replace the salt content of our body, giving some strength to the person. Okay, so these are the differences between clinical features of a patient who is severely affected with cholera, then partially dehydration, partially affected, and a patient who is not affected. Okay, clear till here? What? Yes or no, Chandrika?
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't answer, how will I know? Okay, so one more feature is decision. Patient has no dehydration. Okay, if the patient has two or more signs, some dehydration is present. In partially, some dehydration, and in severe, the patient has two or more of these signs. Severe dehydration is present. Okay, so in case of severe dehydration or severe infection, the patient has two or more of these signs, and severe dehydration is there. Okay. Then how do we rehydrate? Rehydration is accomplished in two phases. First rehydration, then maintenance. Rehydration means what? Rehydration means what?
Giving energy.
Water, hydration, no? So your whatever loss of water fluids is there, you have to rehydrate. You have to again give it to the person. You know, that is called dehydrate. Cholera symptoms, what we do? Diarrhea, then dehydration. Dehydration is loss of water content. You have to rehydrate. You have to increase the water loss. Okay, you have to replace the water loss. That is called as rehydration. Dehydration means loss of water. Re means replacing the water lost. Okay. Then the goal of rehydration phase is to restore normal hydration status, okay, which should take no more than 4 hours. So within 4 hours, the water content has to be replaced. Set the rate of intravenous infusion in severely dehydrated patient. Then lactated Ringer solution is preferred over isotonic sodium chloride solution. Okay, because saline does not correct metabolic acidosis. So instead of isotonic sodium chloride solution in a saline, they put lactated Ringer solution. So this will correct the metabolic acidosis. Okay. Then, in for cholera maintenance treatment, the goal of the maintenance phase is to maintain normal hydration status by replacing ongoing losses. Okay, the oral route is preferred and use of oral rehydration solution. So, most commonly, what is used is the ORS one, at rate of 500 to 1000 ml per hour. Sometimes they give just the saline bottle. You all know that the speed of the flow of that bottle can be adjusted. Are you all aware of this? Saline bottle तो देखा ना सबने hospital में, it is hanging beside a patient.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So that flow of liquid is maintained. You know, there is a valve, that tube which connects to your hand. There is a valve. Okay. So that tube, they can increase the speed of that flow, or they can decrease the speed of that flow with the help of that valve. Okay. So in some patients, what they do, it is at a rate, the rate flow. Okay, the flow rate is adjusted to 500 to 1000 ml per hour. It means they say in 1 hour 1000 ml should go within the patient's body. 1000 ml means what? 1 liter. You understand? 1 liter
Yes.
bottle is generally 500 ml bottle you will get, or 1 liter bottles also you get. So the doctor will decide that the patient has to be replaced with 1 liter in 1 hour, or sometimes it is 1 liter in 4 hours also. So they reduce the speed so much that drop wise it passes. Okay, they reduce this flow so much that drop by drop it goes into your body, and it is like 1 liter in the whole day, like that. But sometimes they increase the speed of the valve so that it is like 1 liter in 1 hour, that it goes into your body 1 liter within 1 hour. So it is like that. So fluid should never be restricted. In case of cholera patient, fluid intake should not be restricted. Got it till here? Satish, Vishwas, are you all understanding what I'm telling? Vishwas,
Yes, ma'am.
got it, no?
Got it, ma'am.
Dinakaran, Dinakaran,
Yes, ma'am.
are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So this is sign of dehydration. What are the symptoms? Like I told you, it is sunken eyes, absence of tears. Because of loss of fluid, there will be no water or tears in your eyes. Eyes will become dry. Dry mouth and tongue, thirsty and drinks eagerly, goes back slowly. So if these symptoms are there, okay, there is a yes and there is a no. If these symptoms are there, it is yes. Okay, it goes to further verification of cholera. And if these symptoms are not there, that is no dehydration. It is no dehydration if the symptoms are not there, and if it is there, it means dehydration is there. So further symptoms will be lethargic, unconscious or floppy, unable to drink, radial pulse is weak. So the pulse becomes weak, goes back very slowly. This is after pinching, goes back very slowly, goes back. This is after pinching. Okay, so means the response when someone pinches you, you immediately take back your hand. No, if someone is pinching you, you immediately take back your hand. But when there is weakness in the body, the patient doesn't respond immediately. That is what is goes back very slowly in more than 2 seconds or less than 2 seconds, whatever. So if here it is, if no dehydration, oral rehydration. So amount after loose stools. Okay. Now here it is, if it is dehydration is there. So these are the symptoms. Okay. If the symptoms are not there, and if the symptoms are there. Okay. Yes and no shows. If the symptoms are not there, the symptoms are there. It is some dehydration. So you have to give ORS in the first 4 hours. This is the amount and age to which what you have to treat. Then if it is there, if symptoms are there, severe rehydration. Okay, that table we saw in which there is severe rehydration, partial rehydration, and no dehydration. So this, if symptoms are there, it shows severe dehydration with more than 10%. Okay, but if there are no symptoms, you just go for some dehydration technique with ORS. Okay, little bit of ORS to be injected, or I'm sorry, ORS to be taken. ORS you drink it, the solution, or in case of patient it is through saline. Okay, so this is a different age and weight and amount of ORS to be given. Okay, so that is what this is about, the symptoms, and about how do we go ahead if they have symptoms and if they don't have symptoms. Okay. Now treat severe dehydration in cholera. Now if it is severe, now here you have stopped here with severe dehydration. These were partial one, no? Some dehydration you give ORS and you can treat. But if it is severe dehydration, you have to do continuous monitoring. Okay, you have to continuously monitor. Then, if it is younger than 1 year, if the patient is younger than 1 year, and if the patient is older than 1 year or adult, okay, the amount to be given, then it is 30 ml per kg in the first hour. So these are all the amount to be administered. Okay, the ORS solution and all. Then maintained intravenously. Okay, administer ORS solution. So all these other steps to treat cholera. Continuous reassess at least every 4 hours. Radial pulse should be strong. Blood pressure should be normal. Goal of rehydration phase is to restore normal hydration status. So once you start treating the patient, your goal is to bring back the normal hydration level. Cholera patient, when you start treating, your goal is that finally the rehydration status should come to normal, the hydration level. This must be done in less than 4 hours. The goal of maintenance phase is to maintain normal hydration by replacing ongoing losses. So whatever loss is there because of fluid loss or diarrhea, you have to maintain the loss. Okay, you have to continuously supply the patient with ORS. Then if you have to finally, if it's treated, they should be having, so criteria is they should be eating properly, oral intake should be adequate, urine flow should be normal, and maximum diarrhea flow should have reduced to 400 cc mm, per hour. Okay, so these are the symptoms to become normal. Then antibiotics therapy, you have to use antibiotics to kill the organism finally. So prompt eradication of the vibrio, diminish the duration of diarrhea, and decrease the fluid loss. Okay, so these things have to be done to treat cholera. Hmm? We have to reduce the duration of diarrhea, that is the duration within stools are passed. Okay, supposing it's every half an hour or every 1 hour or every 10 minutes, you have to reduce the duration of the stool passage. Antibiotics should be administered to moderate or severe cases, so this should be given only in moderate or severe cases, not in cases of partial diarrhea. Hmm? So these are the antibiotics which are used in case of adults, pregnant women, children more than 3 years, children less than 3 years. Okay. So it is doxycycline or ciprofloxacin or azithromycin also in case of adults. In case of pregnant women, it is erythromycin or azithromycin. Okay, so children, it can be erythromycin. The dosage decreases. Okay, if they are if they are more than 3 years, and if they are less than 3 years, the dosage will decrease, as you all know. Then how to prevent the disease? How to prevent the disease? By comprehensive multidisciplinary approach, that is sanitization of water, food. hmm, Communicate and educate people. You have to educate people about cleanliness, about hygiene, about taking boiled water. Okay, if they consume boiled water, it is good rather than consuming the water directly collected through these pipes, which are sometimes contaminated with sewage water. Your water pipes sometimes get contaminated with sewage water, no? So you have to educate people that how to maintain hygiene, and how to drink and keep your area sanitized. Water should be heated and boiled before drinking. Food should be cooked properly before consumption. All these are things which you need to educate the poor people who are not aware of the circum or they're not aware of how the disease spreads. Okay, so they have to be educated. Then basic health education and hygiene, mass chemoprophylaxis, provision of safe water and sanitation. Okay, so every area should get safe and clean water, and sanitization is must in all the rural areas. Okay, got it, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Cholera is clear, I hope, to all of you. Which organism, Satish? Cholera, which organism? Which organism causes cholera, Satish? Vishwas? Vishwas, which organism causes cholera?
Vibrio cholera.
Thank you for answering. Who was that, Vishwas or Satish?
Vishwas, madam.
Okay. After the whole class is complete, if you all don't tell me how is cholera infected, it means what you all have heard and what are you all listening to, I don't know. At least the organism you infected by cholera, Vibrio cholera, at least you should tell, no? I have told you everything about the organism, about how the disease spreads, about the prevention, treatment, okay? Then how to clinical features, how to diagnose it, how to treat it. Everything was explained. Kindly try to remember what all is explained. Okay? I've told you about two species, cholera gravis and cholera sincere. Okay? Or Zika. So what happened? I told you to remember about the rice water stools. Okay? Rice water stools is what you have to correlate with Vibrio cholera. Okay? That is what happens in case of severe diarrhea. Okay, all of you. Transmission is through what? Satish. Transmission of cholera is through what? Hmm? Satish. How is cholera transmitted? Dinakaran, can you tell me how is cholera transmitted?
Through food and water, ma'am.
Thank you for answering. It is contaminated food and water through which cholera spreads. Okay. I hope cholera was clear.